Children who are told they are clever don't share as much as children who aren't. That's actually true.
That's right. Research at the University of Florida found kids constantly praised for being clever were not just less likely to share their belongings, but also their ideas as well. You're watching Monday's Right Stuff with Larry Turner, Kay Adams and comic Scott Capurro. Still to come this morning, are you getting old at 27? Scientists reckon you are. I want to know what you think. If it's not 27, then when is it? And don't tell me it's 43. 0207 173 5555. That's the number for your thoughts. First, though, don't tell your kids they're clever, because if you do, you risk creating a self-obsessed little so-and-so who thinks the sun shines out of his own backside. And for once, it's not just me saying this. Child psychologist Dr. Carol Craig told a conference this weekend that parents focus too much on praising their children. And apparently this is because you're so worried about hurting their feelings, you daren't criticise them if they fail a spelling test or miss out on a part in a school play. It's not your fault, darling. I blame the teachers. The same teachers are held equally culpable. A new emphasis in schools on well-being is apparently having a similar effect. Many schools, as we know, have banned competitive sports days to ensure no one's feelings get hurt. Consequently, children leave school with no concept of how to deal with failure or rejection. Dr. Craig, who works at the Centre for Confidence and Wellbeing in Glasgow, believes this fear of criticism will lead to a generation of narcissists who think they're brilliant, can't cope with failure and blame other people when they fail. That sounds just like me. Researchers from the University of Illinois say if you constantly tell your child they're great, reassure them of this, you will rob them of the ability to learn how to solve problems. If kids get too much praise, they get complacent, they stop trying. But then isn't it a parent's job to big up their kids, to send them out into the world brimming with self-confidence? Psychologists at the world-famous Maudsley Hospital, I know, reckon a child is more likely to be damaged by too little praise rather than too much. I don't know where we go with this one, Kay. I mean, who's right, who's wrong?
Well, I mean, I think to always be telling your child they're right and never be telling them anything else is just lazy parenting. And that's what I would, you know, put the box that I would put that in. But I think we have a much greater problem in this country, and I know Carol Craig from Glasgow, well, particularly in Scotland, from kids not having enough self-esteem. And I mean, I've got friends and family who work in primary schools that are in very difficult areas, and the kids who really struggle in life and are going to go on and struggle in life are the ones that are told they're worth nothing. That is a much graver problem.
Can I just come on our mantra here that the majority are being punished for the sins of the few, that we're actually damaging more kids than we're helping?
In terms of doing what? In
terms of this praise, that if they're getting praised at home, if you have a nice middle-class family praising their little child non-stop here, they go to school and they get non-stop praise and no criticism at school, that we're going to generate an army of little monsters just to help, potentially, fewer children who are having no praise and suffer from low self-esteem.
I have never met these children, and I don't know where they come from. I mean, you know, I've said this before in the programme, you know, my daughter's 6, she goes to a regular primary school down the hill, but people like me who are the parents, I don't see this. I don't know where these people are.
I think it's the invention of those who don't have any children, who want to have a go at parents who do.
I think you might.
It is, because you regard as every child's a little horror. I could look at children, they could behave fantastically and you would find some reason to loathe them, Matthew.
No, I wouldn't.
But the psychology,
the
psychology is interesting. I mean, our children are sort of roughly the same age, but the younger one, who's 2, my younger one, and I remember it with Charlie too. The more I tell her, oh, that's great, that's great, that's great, and OK, she does things that are not great, so you ignore them, or you do tell her it's not good. She wants to please me. She wants to please us.
OK, I was told pretty much at university I was rubbish at almost everything I did at school, and I had parents that were very supportive, and as a result, there was this drive in me, I think, to prove them all wrong. So I don't know, what does that say? That sometimes it's good to have praise at home and not at school? I think that this, Dr. Craig's position is that if you get nothing but praise and non-critical judgments at school, and you get the same at home, at what point will you learn to fail?
That's self-evident,
but are we all much harder on ourselves than anyone else ever is? That's what my therapist tells me all the time. And especially if you're Catholic, it's all, oh, I'm horrible, I'm horrible. So if you've been raised in that atmosphere, and it's a tough world out there anyway, I think it's nice to have a little buffering at home. You know, my mother was very,
I think,
very supportive, you know,
like
and it helped.
The point of Dr. Craig is that because of a new emphasis on well-being at schools, and it is a new emphasis, combined with parents perhaps who view their children more as friends, who lavish them on praise, if they get no criticism, no sense of failure...
But I don't know what children she's talking about. In my school, another standard primary, they do have sports day.
Yeah,
they do get picked.
Can they win
do
the sports day, or is it all like everyone's a winner because they can run?
They get picked for things.
Or...
They don't get picked for things. They have sat... Talking about children who don't have to face failure, my children face failure every day. Talking about children who don't have to face rejection. What about a family breakdown? There's a huge amount of rejection that
Maybe
children
they'll be
have to
unprepared
face
to deal with that.
No, but they are having to deal with the kind of
What about the
failure
school
and rejection
where
that we
they
didn't have
banned
to as
Fs
kids?
for failures and decided and said that nobody ever failed an exam, they just simply deferred passing it? Deferred success.
Sometimes it's just genetically. I mean, look at the Fritzl kids. He was really nice to them, and look how they turned out.
Okay, that's enough Fritzl gags. That is enough Fritzl gags.
They can barely crawl. No, but the point is, I think that, you know, children are supported at home, and then what happens out in the world happens out in the world. Parents can't monitor what happens at school, who knows? But I think if at home, your kids are coming home and they're a bit upset, I think the best thing to do is tell them how
wonderful they are. Because the other thing is, you know,
are.
kids are very clever. They know. I mean, whether the school takes away an F for failure and puts something else, they know. My 6-year-old knows, and I can do all the sort of modern things. No, don't worry, it's fine.
But
she knows. She'll look at me and say, I know I was wrong.
We don't believe her.
No,
right.
no, we
okay.
don't believe her. Thank you.
Okay.
We
The
don't
doctor
believe
is
her.
wrong.
No, we don't.
Right. And I don't know. I don't know if you know. What would we know about... You know, I don't have kids. Do you have kids?
But you said your nieces and nephews painted your nails for you, right?
Yeah.
So you're close with them.
Yeah.
Because you
But
spend an
they're
hour
30
with
and
them.
32.
I'll be honest, I don't think they have praise lavished on them all the time. I think they are subjected to tellings off, criticisms.
But that's what most kids are.
Most kids are, but I think Dr. Craig is concerned. I'll say it again, it's not me saying
I
this.
love seeing
She
my
believes there's a
niece.
generation that isn't getting this kind of
My
praise.
niece is fantastic. She's a bit too smart for me, so I just fill her with sugar and chocolate. I whip her up into a fever pitch, and then I take off.
Yep.
And that's the best thing about being an uncle. I spend an hour with her once a week, and then I'm on my way home.
Yeah,
right?
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
OK, let's throw it open to you. Does anybody understand what Dr. Craig is talking about, apart from me? Is there a generation of children out there that we should be concerned about because they are receiving too much praise? Maybe Dr. Craig is wrong and there isn't. Let's hear what you have to say.
We've got Susan on line 1, who's a teacher.